City Commissioner's not wearing any crutches or canes or anything over there today? Good, not bad. Doing good? Getting there. All right, good afternoon, everyone. It's 4 o'clock on Thursday, the 9th of April, 2026, and we're at the Tom Baker Room for the monthly meeting of the Bismarck Renaissance Zone Authority. I'm Jim Christensen, your chair. We will ask Sandra to call the roll, see if we have a quorum. It sure looks like we do.
Authority member Greg Zenker, Steve Bakken,
Here.
Bernice Dolitsky,
Here.
Amelia Dahl,
Here.
Kirsten Dvorak,
Here.
Nancy Guy, Kate Herzog,
Here.
John Lee,
Here.
Chair Christensen.
Here. So we have a quorum. We'll proceed with the meeting. The first item on your agenda is the approval of the minutes from our last meeting, which was March 12th. Yeah, there it is right there. Any changes, suggested comments, questions? If not, is there a motion?
As presented.
Is there a second? Moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. That motion carries. Item 2 on the agenda is a public comment period. If there's anyone wishing to appear on any items on the consent agenda, the regular agenda, or the prior Renaissance Zone Authority agenda, please approach. I don't see anyone in the audience approaching. So we'll move on to the regular agenda, item 3. And that is Renaissance Zone rehabilitation. It looks like Isaac's going to bring us up to speed.
I will indeed, Chair Christensen and authority members. So this first Renaissance Zone regular agenda item comes to us today from Glance Spa Salon Incorporated and JAB Investments LLC, who are requesting approval of a rehabilitation Renaissance Zone project as well as a commercial lease Renaissance project at 407 North 4th Street. Now, this is a slight difference from what was presented in your packet for reasons I will explain now. The commercial lease project was not noted in the packet because of a misunderstanding on staff's part. And that has since been cleared up, but this does not change the scope of work that was described in the packet with the projects, but because for reporting purposes, because the business tenant, Glance Spa and Salon Incorporated, and the property owner, JAB Investments LLC, are two separate legal entities. Staff need to process these projects separately, both for our purposes as well as for the State Department of Commerce, Division of Community Services on their end. So again, nothing is changing as far as the scope of work that was described in the packets, but for our own purposes, we just need to process them separately. And then if these were to be approved, these two separate Renaissance Zone projects, the local property tax exemption would apply to the property owner, that JAB Investments LLC, and then the state income tax exemption would apply to the business tenant, Glance Spa and Salon Incorporated. So, with that being cleared up, and I will have to amend there will be one other thing that I'll mention later, but the project itself is located in the DC downtown core zoning district, and adjacent uses, as described in the staff report, is a variety of offices, banks, and associated parking lots. The scope of work of this application involves interior work only, with the tenant space, specifically the tenant space currently occupied by Glance Spa and Salon. And this scope of work would include rearranging or replacing interior spaces and fixtures and other capital improvements such as plumbing work to facilitate the expansion of that particular business. The project cost, as described in the application, is approximately $589,000, which is above the minimum level of investment threshold of 50% of the total building value, the assessed building value, and above the $40 per square foot for rehabilitation projects. Because of the previously mentioned misunderstanding, staff have received the required certificate of good standing for Glance Spa and Salon, but we have not yet received the certificate of good standing from JAB Investments LLC. More on that in a moment when we get to the recommendations section. The public was notified of this request via publications in the Bismarck Tribune on March 27th and April 3rd, and 19 postcards were mailed to owners of nearby properties on March 27th as well. To my knowledge, staff have not received any inquiries or written comments about this project prior to this meeting. And overall, as a cumulative result of all findings contained in the staff reports before you, City of Bismarck staff find that the proposed Renaissance Zone projects would not adversely impact public health, safety, and general welfare, and that they are consistent with the Renaissance Zone Development Plan, City's Comprehensive Plan, Bismarck Code of Ordinances, and relevant state law. Therefore, staff recommends approval of the Rehabilitation Renaissance Zone project and the Commercial Lease Renaissance Zone project at 407 North 4th Street as a local property tax exemption on the increased value as shown on the screen here, the increased value of the building for 5 years for JAB Investments LLC, and as an exemption from state income tax on income derived from the business for 5 years for Glance Spa and Salon Incorporated with the following condition. This is the slight departure from the recommendations stated in the staff report, with the condition that planning staff receive the certificate of good standing from JAB Investments LLC prior to approval by the City Commission. With that, I'm open for any questions from the authority.
Thank you. Isaac, is the applicant here?
Yes.
Okay. Does anyone have questions of staff first and/or the applicant? Questions? Questions of Isaac?
I do.
Go ahead, Bernice.
Actually, I probably need to disclose, I did have a conversation with Isaac to make sure I knew the logistics of all this. Going back to we now have a lease on the property, and so my question last week of you was, could the remaining tenant that was in there have a lease? Now that we have a lease with this person, does that vacate that possibility?
Authority Member Duletsky, Chair Christensen, and Authority members, no, that does not. So
Okay.
each tenant space would be potentially eligible for a commercial lease separately. I believe the Craftcade has received a commercial lease previously. They did some rehab work there before the whole building used this, so that was separate. This particular space would still be open, and then the remaining business space occupied by the radio studios could still be eligible as well.
Thank you.
When you say eligible for what?
Eligible for a commercial
For a
lease
lease.
Renaissance Zone project.
Well,
yes.
for a Renaissance Zone project too. Okay, thank you for clarifying that. Other questions? Anyone? What are your recommendations?
Move to
The staff,
approve.
I was going to say
As
staff.
stipulated.
recommends approval. Okay, so motion to approve, is there a second? Moved and seconded?
Sorry, Steve and
And Amelia. Okay, we have motion and a second. Any further discussion? Any further discussion? Hearing none, call the roll, please, Sandra.
Authority Member Duletsky,
Yes.
Dahl,
Yes.
Dvorak,
Yes.
Herzog,
Yes.
Lee,
Yes.
Bakken.
Yes.
Chair Christensen.
Yes, the motion carries. That was easy. We'll move on to other business, item 4. Anybody have any other business for the authority today? Isaac? I see you jumped up. Oh. Got me all excited. If there's no further business and no objection, we will stand adjourned until May 14th. Thank you, everybody. Could be a new record.
Wanted notice.